on Capitol Hill in this country, despite a major push from the president, lawmakers could not reach a deal to repeal and replace Obamacare. You know that. Well, now it seems Americans are losing hope the president and Congress can work together. Just 46% say they are confident it is possible for the president to work effectively with Congress. That is down from 60% in December when we all had such high hopes. So whatever happened to compromise, and have members of Congress forgotten what they were sent to Washington to do? To answer that, Fox News legal analyst and the host of The Property Man, Bob Massi, joins us live from Vegas, baby. Good morning to you, Bob.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing okay. So when you look at that poll, in December, a lot of people had high hopes that the new president would go to Washington, and given the fact that he had a Republican majority in both the House and the Senate, they would get stuff done. And yet, as we saw with Obamacare, that simply didn't happen because the Republicans were not all on the same page.
Pretty poor commentary on our system. We have to remember this is a legislative process. They are supposed to, Congress is supposed to legislate and make laws that are good for us. We have such a polarization, Steve, that this thing is out of control, and it's very disheartening for all of us Americans who wanted a movement. If you take, Steve, let me tell you, if you take this situation, put it in a private enterprise business, the business would be bankrupt because nobody could work together, the business wouldn't grow. Couple things. First of all, besides the Obamacare, there's two things we need to happen from my world in the real estate area. One, the Mortgage Debt Relief Act expires in June of this year, which could be major impact on people in this country who still have homes haven't been foreclosed on. Two, capital gains tax has got to be lowered. These are the type of things that these people have got to work together and understand they're there to work for us in this polarization, Steve. It's got to stop because people are really, really upset in this country on all sides.
Absolutely. You're not the only one who feels that way. But, Bob, look, the Democrats, all they've got is the no. And they don't want to help Donald Trump, who's now the president of the United States, get stuff done. They want to be able to say in 3 years, hey, he didn't get anything done. We need somebody new who's a Democrat.
I think that we're in a situation, Steve, I think the Trump movement started a trend in this country to say, look, we're going to hold you people accountable. And if it ends up being that the Democrats have drawn a line in the sand and not willing to compromise reasonably, and if there are some, as you know, former Tea Party people that are too far to the right that don't allow it, you cannot have it all. You cannot have it all. That's why it's a legislative process. It's a mediation process. It's a give and take. I worked back in D.C., Steve, in the 70s. I was very blessed to work in sort of in a senatorial aide position and learned a lot. They used to sit down and work things out together. They would sort of figure it out. I was a volunteer through a college course in school. It was a wonderful thing to watch. All we see now is this acrimony. How in God's name are these people representing us unless they come to some good conclusions? We're frozen in time. It's going to affect us. And what we need to do, if they do it in 2 years in Congress, just keep going out and voting until they get it right, because this is not right for the American people.
Well, famously, back in the 80s, after your tenure in Washington, D.C., when Ronald Reagan was president of the United States, he'd sit down with Tip O'Neill at the end of the day. They'd go have an adult beverage or two and talk about what they would do together. And neither one of them got 100% what they really wanted ultimately on their bucket list, but they wound up getting 70 or 80%, and that back then was a wild success.
Oh, you could have differences and then you could have resolution. The problem today is, Steve, they have differences and they don't want resolutions. They only want resolutions if it's their resolution, not a compromise resolution. And we don't have a compromise resolution. You have exactly what we have. Frozen in time, nothing getting done, and a lot of upset people in this country. And they better be careful on both sides, because the American people have had it, man. It's percolating. They're not going to see it again. I'm telling you, they've had it. You hear it, I hear it, and I'm sick of it.
People want stuff done. All right, Bob Massi, you just heard part of his resume you didn't know before. He's now the property man, and his show is going to be tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern, over on Fox Business Network. Bob, thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Take care.